Hello, we're carrying on with Running on the Roof of the World by Jess Butterworth. We left it last time where Mum and Dad's house had been invaded by the police and they were chasing Tash as she ran away. So chapter 10, Yaks. I lunge forward, scrambling on the dirt. My knees scrape against the stones. I pull myself to my feet and run. Stop! A soldier shouts. Stop right there! My skirt restricts my legs as I sprint. I yank it up over my knees. The bag thumps against my side. I can't see through the thick darkness. Footsteps pound the ground behind me. My wool slippers are soft on the hard ground. Every stone pierces my foot. I turn a corner and I'm at Sam's house. I fight the urge to run inside. The soldiers are close, so I can't put his family in danger. I tear onwards, leaping over a ditch and ducking past our neighbours' houses. My braids unwraps from around my head and whips against my back. On the main road, a patrol truck rumbles. Another one, and another one. I see the yellow lights heading towards my house. The Wujang are coming. I have to get away from the village. I make it past the houses towards the Yaks stables. I glance behind me. There's no one there. I slip inside a yak shed. It's a warm indoors and smells of manure and damp. Manny's yak, Eve, lies on a thin layer of straw. She takes up almost all the space in the barn. On the barn, I hear the clunk of boots. A stitch burns my side. I rest my arm on the yak to balance. I can't keep running. I squeeze around Eve, touching her wet nose. My whole hand fits over the top of her nostril. She breathes out, and her earthy breath warms my fingers. Lying down, I edge closer to the side of her body, lift her fleecy long hair, and slide under her coat. I'm just about hidden by the oily, soft blanket. I squeeze my eyes shut and will the soldiers to keep on walking. The footsteps get louder. I cling to Eve, allowing her fur to cover me completely. Nuzzling her forehead against her body, I smell her grassy skin. Her heart beats slow and steady. We can't have lost her, a voice says outside. She'll be in one of these stables. Please don't come in here. Light beams into the shed and hits the wall above me. I peer through Eve's hair. The soldiers shine the torches on the yak, casting long shadows up the wall. Check in the straw, one of the soldiers says. It's Spaniel. Eve lifts her right leg. The torches spotlight it. Any hope I have drains from my body. As soon as Eve stands up, they'll see me. The soldiers aim their torches at Eve's head, and I remain in darkness under her thick fur. The strands tickle my neck. As soldiers step closer, Eve snorts at him. He shuffles forward. Eve heaves herself up, sending straw and woolly hair flying. She lunges her head, catching his side with her huge horns. The soldier growls and takes a step back. I hold my breath. I can see his feet on the other side of Eve. Drops of sweat gather on my forehead. The soldier bends down and plunges his hands into the straw. His head is blocked from my sight by the fur hanging from Eve's belly. I close my eyes, praying that he can't see me. Eve throws her head to the side, more forcefully this time, jabbing the soldier with her horns. Ah! Yells the soldier, grabbing hold of his back. He unhooks his gun. I hear him cock it, but I can't see where it's pointing. Please, not Eve! A second pair of legs arrive. Calm down. There's nothing here. Eve scrapes her hoof against the floor and lowers her horns. She cries a low, long grunt. The noise makes the air quiver. What are you waiting for? Asks Spaniel. Search the other stables. From the shed next to me, another yak cries. A third bellows from further away. Eve nudges her horns forward and calls again. Come on, says one of the soldiers. Let's get out of here. The torches drop, and my heart starts beating again. I pull my knees into my chest and hug them until I can't hear any noise. I find the wall with my hand and use it to pull myself up. I turn to Eve, stroking her neck. "Thank you," I whisper. Chapter 11. Vulture. I stand at the edge of the path and look out into the night. I have to cut across the grasslands to get to the vulture tree. I'll be exposed with no houses or trees for cover. I know Mum would warn me about the wild wolves and leopards, but now is not the time to follow the rules. I have to meet Mum. I tighten the bag around my back, the trees in the distance rising high above the bushes. I see the dark shapes of two huge vultures in the branches. As I get closer, they flap their wings, annoyed at being disturbed, before settling down to watch me with their beady eyeballs. "Hum," I whisper. There's no reply. My stomach turns. I was hoping she'd be here already. I look into the black fields. Did anybody see me? I don't feel safe on the ground. I bend my knees and jump as high as I can. My fingers close around a branch, and for a moment I hang before heaving my other hand up. I've climbed up here 1,000,000 times before with Sam. I can do it by myself. I walk my feet up the trunk and manoeuvre them over a branch. I shuffle along until I'm leaning back into the trunk. From up here, I can see the dimly lit windows in the town. I stay as still as I can, straining my ears for the whoosh of movement through the grass. In the distance, military trucks light up and snake the road. Above me, a vulture gives its rasping cry. The last time I was here, Sam whistled the vulture call and they flew to him. "Sam," I whisper hopefully, "was that you?" There's no reply. I hold the Dalai Lama photo and hug the bag, wondering how many laws I'm breaking. I unbutton the top of the backpack and pull the leather bag open. My fingers close around a prayer bowl. I move it aside and my hand brushes against papers. I lift them out and gather them in my hands. The name of the pamphlets is The Snow Lion. Dad's secret leaflet for the resistance. I can just make out the headings, news and teachings. It's too dark to read the rest. My attention drifts. There is so much I don't know about the Snow Lion and the risks my dad has taken. 3 years ago, he burst into the house, his face twisted with worry. "Hundreds of monks are holding a protest in Lhasa." "How?" asked Mum. "What are they doing?" "Sitting peacefully," replied Dad. I pictured rows of monks in their maroon robes among the concrete streets of the city. But they've been called a threat to social stability. Dad beckoned us to follow him. He led us to Sam's house, where we gathered around the TV and watched the World News Channel. We didn't have electricity often, but when we did, they had the clearest signal. I tapped my foot as we waited. After what seemed like forever, the reporter said, "Demonstrations in the capital city of Lhasa." And then the screen went blank, sucking all the colour and sound with it. Sam's dad knelt on his knees and fiddled with the wires. Dad flicked back and forth through the channels. The others were still working. "Come on," he muttered. The World News Channel flashed back. "There," says Mum. We watched the screen, but there was no mention of Lhasa and the monks. The reporter had somehow, as if by magic, moved on to a different story. "Someone has to tell the real news around here," says Sam's mum quietly. "Well, there's something I can do," said Dad. "They'll never suspect me." "We could use the secret resistance to find out what's really happening," said Sam's dad. Dad nodded slowly. I thought Mum would be worried, but she took his face in her hands and said, "I'm proud of you." From then on, Dad used the leaflets to write the truth. Our truth. I chewed my cracked lip as I remember. My throat is raw, craving water. I must have been here for hours. I think of the Dalai Lama. Now he can sit in the same position meditating for hours. The longest I've been able to do is for 13 minutes. There's still no sign of Mum. I twist my turquoise ring back and forth nervously. What if she needs my help? I think about tying my jumper to a branch, but it's too cold. I feel for my middle finger and slide off my ring. When Mum gave it to me, she wrapped red string around the metal to make it fit. I bite a strand with my teeth, unravel it quickly, and tie it to a branch. The ring dangles, swinging back and forth in the breeze. The silver glint in the moonlight. She couldn't miss it. Chapter 12. Runsack. The first thing I notice is the door hanging by one hinge. My hands tremble as I push it and duck inside. I can faintly smell smoke from the fire as I drop my backpack to the ground. Mum! I whisper, pushing back the knocked-over bench and rushing to the cupboards where she'd hid. My fingers close around the metal and I tug it open. It's empty. Dad, I say, are you in here? There's no answer. I reach into my drawer, hoping to find our yak bell. I feel around the corners. That's gone too. I check under the bed. This seems to have been here somehow. I hunt for matches and a butter candle. My fingers close around one and I light it with shaky hands. I spot Mum's fleece scarf half buried in a pile of blank papers and Dad's writing pens. It's ripped and torn, but still soft, and it smells of fresh dough, just like she does. Where are they? The door creaks on its hinge. The soldiers must have come back for me. I blow out the candle, spilling the hot wax down my hand. There's a crunch, a shoe crushing glass underneath it. The footsteps get closer. Tash, you here? Sam, I ask, lifting my head. Tash runs over and kneels next to me. Are you hurt? He shines a torch in my eyes. I let out my breath. Sam is the only one I can trust now. Seeing him reminds me that I'm not alone. He grabs my hand, squeezing it tightly in his. They're gone, I say, blinking. I saw the army push them into the truck, he says. I thought they had you too. I ran away. I shouldn't have left them. They would have wanted you to get away, he says. I remember the photograph of the Dalai Lama. I slip my fingers into my pocket and feel it filling me with strength. I pull it out and stare at its happy face. I have to do something to help. Think, Tash, think. The Dalai Lama stares back at me. If there's one person who would know what to do, it's him. He's my glimmer of hope. I'm going to India, I say. What, Sam? I'm going to India to see the Dalai Lama, I say, passing the photograph to him. What can he do? He's the leader of Tibet. He has to help. He hasn't been here for 50 years. He won't be able to do anything from India. Please, I say, I can feel it. If we can just make it to him, he'll get them out. Sam nods slowly. It's too dark for me to read his face. I've heard of people walking to India before, he says, but it takes weeks, maybe months. That's too long. I know the stories. People starve to death in prison. They mysteriously disappear. I can't think about what might happen to Mum and Dad. The longer they're there, the less chance there is of getting them out. Well, we can't stay here, I say. The soldiers will be back. Gather anything we might need, whispers Sam. It's going to be a long journey. I want to reach out and hug him. Sam's coming with me. Get food, water, clothes, and as much yak dung as we can carry to use as fuel, he continues. I need to get my things. Can your dad help us? Dad would never make the journey with his bad leg. I nod. I already knew that. And he'd probably stop us from going anyway. What are you going to tell him? I'll be straight back. He dashes out and along the path. I'm left wishing he was still there. I scoop the sampa grains back into the metal jar and shake the sheepskin's coat out. I toss useless items over my shoulder, keeping warm clothes and cooking supplies in a pile in front of me. The cooking pots all look heavy, so I choose the lightest ones. Soon I have a mound of provisions. My skin tingles. We have to get out of here before someone spots us. I pull on my thickest socks and dig out my snow boots. I haven't tried them on since last year. They feel soft with the wool lining. I stand, feeling taller. There's just enough room in my backpack for my gloves. I slide on Dad's sheepskin coat. It's big and bulky. and I took the Dalai Lama photograph into my side pocket and wrapped my mum's ripped scarf around my neck. I'm ready. I stand back. The 2 sacks are big. It's a lot to carry. I strap Dad's backpack onto my front and heave a bundle onto my back. The weight pushes down against my chest. Sam appears at the doorway. What did your dad say? Nothing, replies Sam. He won't even notice I'm gone. Let's go, he says. And we're going to stop it there till next time. See you next time.